welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Weekly. I'm Grey Arias. So today's episode, I'll be moderating, and I'll be the only one on the show with our guests. Josie has decided to take a step back and will no longer be a host on Let's Talk Weekly. We wanted to be able to give her some time to, settle some things and let life get a little easier. So also Thomas is out for this week, but will be returning next week. And so this week we are doing our panel show. That is going to be with Dom Jones, who will be running for Congress in California's 47th district, which is currently held by Katie Porter, but she's running for Senate. And then we are joined with our returning contributor, Aiesha Forrest. So we're going to be talking about LGBTQIA plus issues during this panel, and we are so excited to do this. And it is a 40-minute episode, so extra content and extra discussion. So yeah, let's go ahead and do this. All right, folks, and welcome to the panel. Today we have Dom Jones, like I said in the intro, running for Congress in California's 47th, right?
That's correct.
I got the number right. I love when that happens. And we also have returning guest, Aiesha Forrest. Hello, Aiesha.
Hello.
All right, so I know I gave you a pre introduction, but go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about you, Dom.
Yeah, so as you said, Gray, I am running for Congress in District 47, which is in California in Orange County. And to be specific, the cities, just so people know that it encompasses, are 6. It's Huntington Beach, all along the coastline, Newport Beach, Laguna, Seal Beach, Costa Mesa, and Irvine. So that's the area that I am running to represent. I am many different things. I'll kind of give you guys a condensed version. So first, I'm a gym owner. I've been in the health and wellness space for nearly 20 years. So I am all about all of us using whatever aspects that we can to increase our health and wellness through our life. I'm big on meditation. I'm an indoor cycling spin instructor, something I'm very passionate about and I love doing so much. I love it. Lots of music, fun. That's me. That's, what I love to do. In addition to that, I am a special needs student educator. So I work with students who have spina bifida, autism on the spectrum, and different things to help them learn and gain a good education as well in our school system. Additionally, I'm the co-founder of a nonprofit called Democracy. And Democracy, I know, right?
I love that.
Clever.
I'm the chief creative officer, and what we do is we help underserved communities of female identifying high school age students. So any female identifying, we help them to get through a lot of the struggles that they go through and the traumas from being in communities where they don't have access to a lot of the things that they need to, going through learning, getting in school and having struggles with learning or not having the good foundation at home. So we teach them resiliency skills through social science, and then we put them on paths to elected office and in leadership. So love doing that.
That's amazing.
And I'm an entertainer. I mean, I was gonna say,
it just keeps going.
I know, I love it.
Last thing, I'm on, you can watch television. I'm on CBS's The Amazing Race. So.
Oh, wow.
What do you want me to follow up and introduce myself after that?
Oh boy.
Aiesha.
Oh man. Okay. So the only thing I really have going for me is me and my friends, we make short horror movies. So you can find us
at
get
connected with
Goals.
CBS.
Yeah, you can find us at Goals of the Night, NITE. Basically on Instagram, Twitter, pretty sure we're on TikTok, but our videos are all on YouTube. So yeah, that's what I'm really going for. I can't say that's not a lot. We've accomplished a lot. We make movie magic, dang it.
Yeah, you've made Stab a reality. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm even a fan.
That
yeah,
sounds so
I know.
cool.
We have people who don't like horror movies who like will actually sit and watch her stuff. But so yeah, I do that, and then also just I guess to encompass this what we're about to be talking about is I'm just a passionate person who lives the world, and as I'm looking and seeing things, I want to speak out and continue to learn and adapt and do my best to be a good person and help other people be good people.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
that's
last
great. I
part.
love that. Yay.
Yes. And I want to also take this time to let the audience know that yes, my name has changed. Oh my goodness, since the last time we've met. As I'm embracing my identity, I identify as non-binary. I've came out 2 years ago, and um I'm just finding my new me, and the me that didn't get to live 15 years ago when I was like, what the fuck am I? So yeah. So folks, remember it's gray now. But okay. Anyway, now on to the topic. So our first part of our panel discussion on LGBTQIA plus issues is Black queer issues. Now, I don't know what that experience is, as I am a white passing Latinx individual. If either one of you want to just share what that experience is, and then we can go from there.
Sure. Well, I'll get us started. I am African American. I'm a Black woman. I'm also queer, and I'm bisexual. So for me, embracing, much like you, Gray, embracing my truth and who I am has been a long journey, because I was actually raised very strict, like evangelical Christian. So that I know.
This
And
Christian, I feel it. I feel it.
Same.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, my sisters. So you totally understand, what I mean when I say like that was talk about suppression. I mean, it's completely unacceptable, and beyond unacceptable. It's like demonic or something crazy. Like, and so for honestly, much of my life, because it was how I was taught as a child. When you're taught something as a child, that is your nurture. So it lays the pathways in your mind to think that way. And honestly, to come out of that, you have to go through your own journey, cognitive dissonance, realizing who you are, shifting your perspective, all these things. So I had to go through that. That being said, being Black and queer and bisexual or lesbian or trans in the Black community, it is really hard. It's very hard. And especially in the Black community, we face a individual, unique set of challenges at the intersection of race, gender, and sexual identity, which can, what happens is that it really leads to heightened levels, okay, of discrimination, marginalization, and even violence. In fact, Black trans sex workers are among the most highly murdered and not investigated, not looked after groups of people. Much like, unfortunately, Black people are incarcerated at higher levels, and police violence at higher levels. So we really do experience this really tragic response to our identity, who we realize we are, from the Black community, because of the Christianization of the Black community in America.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's so much. You can't just be. It's never just one thing. It's never just like I'm a queer person. I'm a Black person. I'm a femme presenting person. It's like there's this weird, everything is so interconnected. I feel like, especially in the Black community, because I feel like there's a big difference between being like a Black female presenting person and a Black male presenting person. There's a whole list of
like expectations.
not just that, but also like culture. There's so much culture between the two of them. So once you start to, get queer, like once, you add queerness in there, where there's that bisection, there's a connection of those two sexualities, or there's two, feminine and masculine, that it's very hard to even begin to untangle.
Yeah.
Because of how tightly woven in like gender norms and sexuality norms are within the Black community,
Yes, you're so right. And think about this. Remember, a lot of the Black community struggles, even as it relates to issues in the community, the LGBTQIA plus community, a lot of the issues result from slavery in this country. And people
oh my gosh, please say that again.
Right, Greg? People often want to kind of remove us from that and say we're beyond that. But almost every issue that plagues the Black community,
you are how many generations away from slavery?
Oh, okay. This is one of my favorite things to say. So I am barely 23 years old. I am 3 generations away from slavery. My father is 77. My grandfather, who lived to be 101, he just died back in the early 2000s. So my great grandfather was born a slave. That's how close I am. And people are like, "Oh, it's so far away. It's so far away." I'm 3 generations away from slavery.
Yeah, I think I'm about the same as you. My grandmother died young, unfortunately. She just died this past August. But was it her mother? That would be my great grandmother. So actually it was my great grandmother, which is what they would call what they wrote down like a farmer, but they weren't farmers. They weren't paid.
Yeah. Okay? They were indentured servants, but they lived on the land and they weren't paid, and their entire family lived there.
Exactly. And Aiesha, you understand this as it relates to queer issues in the Black community. For example, when Black people were slaves, the slave masters used the Bible to rectify, to justify their treatment. Oh, you're slaves. See, the Bible says that they're slaves. You're meant to be slaves. So this is how you get generations believing this stuff. And then they were told not to read. So then they never understood until they did how they were being gaslit mega. Okay. So the thing is that in the Bible, though, is what does it say? What they look at, homosexuality is wrong and this is wrong and that's wrong. Well, that's been bred into the Black community, the Black church, for generations and generations and generations. So the Black community specifically is one of the highest rates of, honestly, hatred. And I'm going to be very honest with you, towards Black people being of a different sexual orientation. So, it truly is.
You bring that up, and I'm gonna share my screen right now to the audience this article about Black LGBTQ individuals experience heightened levels of discrimination, and this is sadly within the own community. And a recent analysis of data from the 2020 Center of American Progress survey shows that 33% of Black queer individuals reported experienced discrimination in the last year, and nearly 1 in 3 report avoiding public spaces. 2 in 5 have moved away from family to prevent discriminatory experiences. 1 in 5 avoid travel. So seeing these statistics, just would you say because you lived the Black queer experience, would you say that's about right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's it's even down to within the queer community itself, we further divide ourselves and further separate and categorize ourselves. Oh, well, if you're female presenting but you're too masculine and you're a Black person, that's a big problem, or
Well, I
if
see it
the
on
other way
Grindr
around too.
sometimes. No blacks, no fat, no femmes. And I'm just like,
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
girl, come on.
And I want to make something very clear, because I want people to understand that, because I myself, I'm someone who I understand, Christian values and morals and ethics, and it's a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, demonizing somebody for how they know they were supposed to walk in this earth, and how they know they are to live their lives, and how they know they are to be free and true and authentic. I mean, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter the ideology behind, I can't get behind that.
Yeah.
That's part
also,
of the
like, if it was a choice, why would all of gestures to all of the everything anyone queer has to go through?
Right.
Like, do you
why would you choose that?
Like, why would it choose to constantly be in fear of being killed?
Yes.
Why would I choose that? Would you choose that? Come on, y'all.
Come on, y'all. Come on. And
like,
and
put on our thinking caps.
And add the layers to that. I mean, especially being, again, as we're talking about Black queer issues, add the layers. You're already Black. You're already, in America. That's a whole thing. Okay. So you're already Black, and then you're already discriminated upon. And if you're a Black woman, in this case, born as a female genetically, okay, and then you realize, okay, I'm queer, I'm bisexual, I'm lesbian, I'm this, I'm trans. You add that to it, you get a mountain of discrimination that's mounted against you. We don't want to be we want to live our truth and be free. Unfortunately, there's these societal patriarchal issues that want to hinder people from living their truth.
Yes.
Really, everything awful in the US boils down to either racism or patriarchy. Every single tiny minute thing.
And
then they also feed into each other.
And
then it just
I always say this: the world went to shit when the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as its religion.
Oh, okay. I can see your point on that.
Because they're so widespread, and it's just
because also too, American government in so many ways is after the Roman civilization. And, it's funny. I tell people this all the time. America is like a baby in terms of civilizations are concerned.
We're so baby.
We're like less than like a blip.
Right.
Yeah. So that being said, talking about government, our next topic is anti-LGBTQIA plus legislation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, isn't that just great? I'm going to share this other article with over 100 anti-LGBTQ bills before state legislatures in 23. So far, activists say that they're fired up. So we've recently seen the anti-drag legislation be passed. And in fact, before I get into this article, I want to show y'all this. Let me just readjust the screen share.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am getting very tired of standing up on bills that are directly impacting my community. Obviously, I'm a strong no vote on this. The bill purports to be about drag, and let me start by saying what drag is. Drag is art. Drag is beautiful. Drag is important to my community. My community and the rest of the LGBTQ community. There were comments about people who had gone 30 years ago to drag shows and saw adult-focused experiences. There's questions as to why are children coming to them now? Well, I'll tell you what happened. We lived. We lived through the AIDS epidemic. We lived through people trying to disallow our marriage. We adopted children. We grew up. And now we're taking some of our children and sharing an art form that's valuable to our community in a way that is age appropriate to them. That's why if you would have come to the drag show on Saturday, what you would have seen is people in full-length dresses, in beautiful gowns, celebrating our art, our history, and the fact that we're alive today. That's what it is. And to answer the sponsor's question directly, why should children be there? That's why. Because it matters to us and our community, because we lived. Additionally, this bill goes beyond drag. Yes, as my representative in the back said, to other art forms, but it also targets trans people. There is a bill going forward in the Senate that discusses...
Chair recognizes Majority Leader Vinton.
Mr. Chair, I would ask that comments be kept to this bill and this bill only.
Thank you. So the bill itself says it bans male or female impersonators. There is a potential that this could be interpreted as banning trans people specifically.
Chair recognizes Majority Leader Vinton.
Mr. Chair, this bill has nothing to do with the transgender community, and I can do this all day as well.
Please.
So they end up keep going back and forth, and
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I also wanted to highlight that these bills are in states such as Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Arizona.
Right. Heavily Republican. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also Pennsylvania is on that list too, which is
Interesting.
very shocking
Mhm.
considering Philly's right
Guilty.
there.
I thought the same thing.
But go
I'm sorry,
ahead.
No, go ahead, Gray. You finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like it's extremely heartbreaking because as an individual who's finally finding their truth, like this would not exist 2 years ago. Aiesha has known me since 2017. So
Really?
yeah, like the amount of like what I've been through, like, and
Gray,
to
can you
finally
share
feel
with us?
comfortable. Yeah, so like I lost my mother in 2018. And I was assigned male at birth, and I came out as gay in 2012. So like I've been a queer youth for I've been part of the community for a while. I've identified with the community for a while, and losing my mother was like part of that, like not just like losing a parent, but like also that part that made me grow up a lot, because I was kind of forced to at 19,
Yeah.
and that made me kind of figure out who I was as a person. And I was always wondering why I never felt like felt like a man. I was like, yeah, I put that on paperwork, and and I just like I kind of cringed almost. I always did. Even when I was in like high school, I was in like men's choir. And I hated it. I hated being in male dominated spaces, because I just didn't feel like a
You
man.
didn't vibe with all that
And
testosterone.
yeah, I know, literally. I'm
Not
like,
at
this is
all.
too much, y'all.
Yes.
Like, we need to dial it down.
Right.
Just a little bit of estrogen, please.
Well, I usually say I'm 60-40, and according to my my zodiac or signs or whatever, that's like my yin and yang measurement. Yeah. But yeah, so like I went to, I was in therapy. Started doing therapy after my mother had passed away, and I told my therapist like how I felt and everything. She's like, "You think you're non-binary?" And I was like, "Oh, like I kind of knew what it was, but like, you know." And then like I was like, maybe, because I don't necessarily feel like a woman, and I definitely don't feel like a man. So I'm fluid.
I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's me. But like, I'm finally there. I'm finally comfortable. And the fact that I can't even go to another state, I can literally be arrested right now looking like this in another state. That's where we're at.
Yeah,
Yes.
because the thing is the fact that they were like, oh, that has nothing to do with trans people or like gender non-conforming people, that's absolute BS. Because the wording in the bill is male or female impersonators. Well, any any cop can say, oh, well, you're impersonating. Doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what your identity is. And especially for those people who, don't pass as well, or they haven't had a chance to change anything on their
Yeah.
documentation, at that point, like, oh, well, they are, portraying or, wearing the wrong gendered clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's important that we really do. I'm always really big on understanding how we got here. When we look at, first off, our country has never, unfortunately, been embracing to those who are not heteronormative, right? This country, because of its original origins, the Christianizing of the country, and God we trust is on the dollar bill. You put your hand on the Bible when you go to court. I mean, these things, these ideas, they say there's a separation of church and state, but let's be clear, there's really not. And all of that has resulted in where we are today. So when we see, for example, all these bills, these anti of our community bills being put through, what we're seeing right now is a concerted effort, right, by factions of our society who do not want to see our country progress, trying to pull us back and trying to, as Donald Trump's slogan, remember what his slogan was, make America great again. But if we all know, if we dissect that, what that really means, that means make America a place where we feel that those of us who look a certain way are in dominant and in control, right? And we're not going to make place for all these other, what they would call liberal or left-wing ideas. It's repressive. And it is something that, unfortunately, as a country, we're going to have to mobilize as a movement to fight back against.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that, like, it pisses me off that Democrats, you're responsible for this too. I will say it again. Democrats, you are responsible for this. You have played the queer issues as an election, as a way to, raise money for elections, to get reelected, instead of actually getting to work and making this, like, preventing this on the federal level. Like, I'm sorry, but like, adding LGBTQIA plus people to the equal protection, or what is it, the like, adding it to like the Equality Act wasn't made. Giving actual legal protections to queer people wasn't made into that bill. Was not even considered as making them a protected class. Like, we're not a protected class at all. Title IX does not necessarily protect us. And like, they just use our issues as a way to raise money for reelection. Oh, don't let those scary Republicans get in. They're gonna take away your rights. Well, you're letting them do it anyway.
I hear you, Greg.
Okay.
In my run for Congress, I'm fully aware, for example, of the issues that our community is going through. And for me, what I intend on doing is really raising awareness. I really want to really elevate the stories of real lived people who have gone through the tragedies of trying to find who they are. Because what I feel is that a lot of times politically, people of our community are just, we're not even really seen as real people. It's almost like we're just, like you said, a political football. And so, for example, what you just said, Gray, about what you've been through, your journey towards being where you are and presenting as the beautiful truth that you are giving to the world, that is a story that gets to be elevated and placed on high, because there are millions of people who relate to you, Gray. There are.
Mhm.
There really are. So for me, it's all about raising the voices of those of us who have gone through a lot of the struggles we have to be who we are, making people see that we are your children, we are your son, we are your daughter, we are your friend, your neighbor,
Mhm.
and we are human beings with feelings. Because remember, people fear the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
They fear what they do not understand. People who've never met a Black person in their lives and all they see is the stereotypes on TV and they meet me, what are they going to think? You see? You
Yeah.
see? So it's about really connecting. So I'm a connector. And in my congressional run, it's all about compassion. And I've been talking to many different people, and people are saying things sometimes. Some people say, "Oh, Dom, politics is where love goes to die." That's what they say, you see. But see, I disagree. I actually believe, what is legislation other than when we make legislation, isn't it to show the American people that they're cared about, that they're loved, that they're honored, that they're looked
Yeah.
after, right?
That's
That's
what it's
love in
supposed to be.
legislation. Right, exactly. So my goal is to raise the stories of those of us who are in the real world. And then by making us really become seen by the world, and they see who we are, and we kind of en masse, as again, this is a movement that I'm trying to do here, we really can make some positive, impactful change. And one of the things that I think we can do is really helping people to exercise their right to vote and support other allies and people who are running for Congress who are part of the community. I think that's very important.
So, one of the things that I wanted to also highlight that's being addressed when it comes to legislation attacking our community is the banning of books and banning of even talking about queer issues in the classroom. With these laws being presented, and I just see it as a way of erasing queer people in general, because okay, so what I'm about to show y'all is a children's book of basically being gender nonconforming. And if I had this book when I was 5, my life would be a lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you.
Okay.
I've seen this one. It's really good.
My Shadow is Purple, written and illustrated by Scott Stewart. My dad has a shadow that's blue as a berry, and my mom's is as pink as a blossoming cherry. There's only those 2 choices, a 2 or a 1. But mine is quite different. It's both and it's none. If theirs are straight, then mine is a circle, for my shadow's different. My shadow is purple. My shadow loves playing with all sorts of toys, things loved by girls and things loved by boys. I dance with the pinks as they turn and they spin, and play sports with the blues as they lose and they win. Some of my friends think that I'm simply confused, but the thing I love most is not having to choose. Some tell me I'm blue, and only blue can be strong. But my mom's strong too, so I think they're wrong. And some tell me I'm pink, 'cause pink's the most caring. But dad's always crying and loving and sharing. Why can't I love sport and dancing and trains and ponies and glitter and engines and planes? Why must I choose and exclude all the rest? I love choosing both because both is the best.
So the full story is going to be linked into the description below. Sorry, I got a little teary-eyed.
Yeah, me too.
I needed that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
No. Sorry. This is we are currently walking so they can run.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Whatever, it's fine.
Gotta be the walkers.
Yes, Aiesha. And that just as she was reading that, you know, can't you feel the purity in that? It's nothing wrong in that. It's nothing to be you know, castigated as immoral, or it's
Yeah.
it's
It's
you
the
know,
Or sexual.
hypersexualization.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It's very strange how people who are homophobic or, you know, just discriminatory, how much they sexualize
Yes,
those
Aiesha.
that they discriminate. Because it's not
Mhm.
just within like the gay community or the queer community, it's
Mhm.
also people who are racist.
Yes.
And I don't.
Like you said earlier, patriarchy or racism.
It's all integrated, and on the sexualization of identity, it's because, you know what people do sometimes, not everyone, but some people, they obsess over the act of. See that, unfortunately, we're speaking very candidly here. Well, how does that work? Well, listen, love is love. Love is love. You can love however you desire to love. And what people do is they sexualize these things, and then they try to make it seem like our children, our dear children, cannot be allowed to live and choose. Like you said, Gray, if you had it at 5 years old, how different would your life be today if our society said, "Oh, we whatever you want to be," and fostered the beauty within you. You know, so unfortunately, there's this sexualization of identity. It's not seen as something that is pure and innocent and true and just how you were born. And it's taken to such levels that, unfortunately, hate, it feeds hate. It feeds hate.
You know, one of the things that really irks me is that also people are like, oh, well, they're just making our kids gay. No, it's letting them know that, oh, these people exist.
And that's
That's
okay.
it. And that's okay. Like why is it so taboo to teach about these group of people? Like,
And
it's
the thing
oh,
is
go
like,
ahead.
I was gonna say, they know that knowing about gay people isn't going to make you gay. If that was the case, there the numbers would be far more skewed in our favor if that was the
Yeah, I
case.
had straight parents and was never exposed to gay stuff. Hello.
And that's the thing, is like, it's shown over and over and over again that even if you don't know about queerness, you know that you're queer. You know that you within yourself, there's something that is not within the norm. But the thing is being queer is completely normal. Being gay, like, you know, same-sex attraction, or, you know, not floating in the binary. There was never supposed to be one in
The other
first.
day, we were literally having this discussion. We were like, who's actually straight in the music department?
Right.
We were like, wait a minute, who is actually straight? Because there's not a lot of them.
Well, even the people who are do identify as straight,
And they're
they don't
super
care.
comfortable.
They're
Yeah.
super comfortable in your sexuality, which I feel like should be the goal. In the end point is for everyone to just be comfortable with who they are, and not only that, being comfortable interacting with other people, even if they don't necessarily have the same beliefs or look the same or love the same as you. Because the
Right.
point still remains, is they're still a person who is loving. They're still a person who is
Right.
living and being just like you are. Why can't
Right.
we just coexist? You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
queer people aren't trying to take over the world and trying to make everyone like us. We just want to coexist. And it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing with Black people.
Yes.
We don't want to take over. We don't think we're going to magically take over
We're
the
not gonna,
world,
you're
or
not
flip the
gonna
script and suddenly have white people as slaves. We just want the bar to be the same.
or it's
We
Yes,
just
like,
want to
you know,
start
you're
at the
not trying
same
to make
point.
white children feel bad about what their ancestors did. You want them to be like, oh my God, let's not have this ever happen again.
And remember, when society maligns the queer community, it's sending a message to the LGBTQ plus community, as well as that they are somehow less than. You see what I'm saying? That they're less than others. And it leads to a culture that tolerates and even encourages discrimination and violence. So, but when we affirm the dignity and worth of all individuals, regardless of their orientation, gender identity. Then we're creating a culture of inclusivity and acceptance. And this is it. This is what we need to be moving towards, you know?
So that being said, I want to also talk about queer people in media. I had asked you what was like your favorite person, like in either like a TV show or a song or like artist or maybe a character from a TV show. Does anyone want to go first?
So
Aiesha, I'll let you go here.
I was gonna say, I don't have a favorite person, but I do have something from recent media that I would love everyone to go watch. And I am sure Gray will know what it is because I was yelling about Gray about it. It's the third episode of HBO's The Last of Us. Now, you would never expect queer love in a show about, you know, the zombie apocalypse and weird fungal spores. But in this, it's one episode. It's about, you can watch it without any other context from the show. And it's basically just the story of these two people finding each other in the middle of the apocalypse and like living together and growing old together and being happy together. And it's like, even though it's something that's happening in the middle of the apocalypse, it's quintessential. Like, this could have been a straight couple and it would have played out exactly the same. And that's fine. It's just the fact that this is a queer couple, like this is a gay couple, that is just like, this should be the same in media all the time, where it doesn't matter what the race or the sex or, you know, the gender identity of the couple. The love is still there. The love is still exactly the same. And it makes me very happy. And it's something that it's in new media and people can be watching right now. And I would really suggest it.
I love that. I love that, Aiesha. I would say I would kind of start from the current and move back because I'm a little bit older than you guys, but I will start with Laverne Cox. She was on Orange is the New Black. And she really became an outspoken advocate for transgender rights. And I feel like she really broke some ceilings. Do you guys see that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think she did 100%. Another person I'm thinking of, she's younger. She may be even as young as you guys, maybe a couple years younger, but her name is Jazz Jennings. And
I Am Jazz from her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a transgender youth and activist. And seeing someone like her actually go through on her show, she had a reality series, I Am Jazz, and she went through the journey, you know, as a young girl, and it showed her family and them going through it with her, and it was so real and genuine. And I feel like that was a good example for, I think, Gen Z, you know what I mean, coming up, of what they're going through. And then taking it a little bit further back, I think I would go all the way back to someone called Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes!
You know what I mean? So you guys know she's an activist. She played a key role in the Stonewall Uprising, and I think in '69. Really big time. Just that's someone that I look to.
And to you white gays out there, Pride was started by a Black trans woman. So shut your mouth. Take a seat.
And the cases have shown that if it wasn't started by Marsha, it was started by a woman named Stormy, who was a butch lesbian, or a stud rather. She's a Black woman. So again, hi. We have literally paved the way. Please join us.
Yeah.
That's another iconic person. Was there any other person you wanted to highlight, Dom?
I'm thinking of, do you guys know Christine Jorgensen? Do you know who I'm talking about? Okay,
the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, so she was from she basically underwent reassignment surgery in the 1950s, and she became like a big celebrity in the United States. But in the 1950s, that was like, that was really big.
Oh my God.
So Christine Jorgensen, yeah.
God, I have to pull her up so I can remember exactly what her name is. But there's a trans woman who is like super big throughout like all of our childhood. She is a composer, and she's made like so much like Disney. Hold on, I have to pull her name.
Oh, who is that?
Well, while you're finding that, my favorite comes from a
Yeah.
TV show, Grey's Anatomy, and
Oh,
Callie in Arizona. Do you watch Grey's, Dawn?
I did watch Grey's Anatomy. I love that show.
Yeah, like Callie in Arizona,
Yes.
like they're so like amazing. I love them to death.
Mhm.
Another gosh, there's so many, but like that one is my favorite for a couple.
Mm, I love that. Gray. Was that where Gray comes from? Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, so I chose it. Yes, yes,
Yes,
but
but no.
yes, but no, it wasn't my only deciding factor. It was
Okay.
mainly because I wanted to keep it a G name because my old name is Greg.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so I kept the G. It was on the list of G unisex names. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, also it's one letter. And then I was like, oh, also Grey's Anatomy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, really quick, her name is Wendy Carlos. So
Oh,
she
Wendy
made
Carla.
not so she did music from Tron, but not only that, she did the title music and the theme
Mhm.
from A Clockwork Orange,
Oh,
which
okay.
is also a pretty big film. And I was just like, that's so cool, especially from like, the 90s, the 80s, and then just like, and she was living her truth that whole time.
That is so
Mm,
cool.
wow.
That's so
Awesome.
cool. Finding
That's so
out,
cool.
especially later, it's just like, and people are like, "Oh, this is a newfangled thing, like gay,
Nope, we've
is
always existed.
nope."
Oh,
Always.
there is a person in history. Oh my gosh.
Who?
I learned about her in women's history.
Aitamat Sappho?
Oh.
No, she was in the 1600s England who came to America. They literally had a
Oh.
trial about her.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
about whether or not she was really a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And
Cannot
then
remember
there's
her
like
name.
someone from French nobility. I forget their name too, like off the top of my head. But she literally made her way into French nobility. Because
Mhm.
like she just kept her identity a secret and ended up even getting close to like being one of the king's advisors, and then she
Wait,
was
are you talking
fired.
about Chevalier? Is that her name?
Yes,
Yes. Uh-huh. Chevalier.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
uh
I love history and I'm a big history nerd. Chevalier. I remember that.
they called the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chevalier, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so when she was fired, she wrote a big expose on the king and was kicked out of France, went to England, talked shit about France because the British hate French people.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually there was questions of her identity being like brought up to where she had to go to court and
Mm-hmm.
they determined her a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that was she ended up living her truth in the 1700s. Imagine that.
That's
Isn't that
incredible.
crazy?
And I mean
Yeah.
she's an example, and there are so many more examples that go all the way back to times of antiquity. Seriously,
like
you know.
I literally what some of the oldest pieces of writing that we have as
Yes.
humans
Yes.
is gay fan fiction. Like
Mhm.
some of the oldest writings on planet Earth is people, even our founding fathers were very fruity. Several
Oh my
of them
god,
would just
Benjamin Franklin would have gay orgies in France. And I'm like, damn.
Hamilton wrote letters to John.
Oh yeah, they were
The
hella
letter
gay.
they were very gay. And also Hamilton would also just write letters talking about his dick. Like this is not new. Humans have been humans
Keep
for
it
a
100.
millennial.
I'm
We're not
dead.
special. We're
I'm
not
dead.
cool. We are simply following in our father's footsteps.
I hear you. I hear you. Very, very true.
Well,
We've been around a long time. Yeah.
I mean
well,
forefathers. I don't mean literal fathers.
yeah. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining on the show today. Can you please shout out your social media, Dom, so that people can get to know you and get connected with
Yes.
your movement?
Sure. So if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram, Dom Jones, DOM as in Mary Jones .unity. Twitter's Dom Jones Unity, as well as I'm on Facebook, and my website, if you guys want to learn more about my congressional campaign, is domjones.org. And I just want to say before we get off, Gray and Aiesha, that thank you for inviting me, Gray. It's been a lovely time talking to you guys. I look forward to talking more. It's a wonderful, safe, loving space, and it's so appreciated. And I just want to say to everyone out there to remember to live your truth. Remember to be
Yes.
authentic, and don't allow societal standards or traditions to dictate how you are supposed to live. And this is why: because you have one life to live on this earth. Not one single human being on this planet Earth has the same fingerprint, not even twins. You are unique, and you're meant to discover your uniqueness and go to the beat of your own drum. And even in my campaign, there are people who want me to conform and make it politics as usual,
Oh,
but they will
please
not
don't.
be.
Don't ever. Don't ever. I'll literally cry if that ever
No,
happens.
please don't
And they
go
better
corporate.
won't.
I won't. You have my word. I'm on the record. I will not do that. It's because I am doing this not just for myself. I'm doing
Roll
this
the
for you.
footage.
Roll the footage. Thank you so much, Dom. Dom's actually going to be back next week to talk about Medicare for All. So,
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, like we're going to see more Dom.
Sounds
Aiesha,
good.
thank you so much for joining us. Shout out
Thank you,
ghouls,
thank you,
please.
thank you. Yeah, Ghouls of the Night, but night, NITE. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can find us on TikTok and Twitter. But yeah,
Woohoo!
we'll be posting soon. Please
All
stay up.
right. And as always, folks, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Be good
Ta-ta.
people.
Bye
Bye.
bye.